Hi, I'm Jonathan, the Provident Prepper. Today we are doing a full-blown review of the Bear River rocket stove. Stay tuned. We have been playing with the Bear River rocket stove, and this is our review.
The Bear River rocket stove is designed by Dan Weatbrook, and we first met him many years ago actually at an expo where we were speaking. And I fell in love with this rocket stove because I thought there was such amazing brilliance in the design. However, we didn't have the financial ability to purchase one at that time. But I invited Dan to write an article for the Journal of Civil Defense on rocket stoves because his design was just unique and totally enthralled me. You can find back issues of the Journal of Civil Defense at tacta.org. You can just sign up to be a member. It doesn't cost anything. And then you have access clear back to the 1960s, right? Of issues of the journal with all kinds of great preparedness information in them.
This rocket stove has both a grill top and an oven. That makes it a very versatile cooking tool. As you can see here, Ben and I are feeding this rocket stove, and we're cooking an entire meal with this stove.
This was Thanksgiving dinner, actually.
When you first fire this thing up, there is a little bit of smoke, but that doesn't last long. As soon as this gets hot, it burns very efficiently, and that smoke disappears. On the right-hand side of this rocket stove, there are two rocket chambers that feed the grill and the cooktop. When you put your ear right down there near those rocket chambers, you can actually hear what sounds like a rocket lifting off. It is kind of impressive. Because it does have these two rocket chambers, you can use just half the grill or you can use the whole grill. If you decide that you only need half the grill, you can just use one of these rocket chambers and it will just heat up one portion of the grill. On the left-hand side of the stove is this rocket chamber for the oven. Now, to use the oven, you do also have to have all three rockets going, or at least one on the right-hand side, but generally two. This rocket chamber will take the hot air underneath the oven and then back around so that it comes out the stacks, and that creates the complete even heating of the oven. The really great thing about these rocket stoves is they are very fuel efficient. Just as a blacksmith uses a bellows to blow that fire really hot, that's what these rocket stoves do. They pull the air through to create a nice hot fire that is very, very efficient.
One 5-gallon bucket of sticks will provide you with about an hour of cook time. So that kind of lets you gauge how much fuel you'll need if you have all three of those rockets going at the same time.
This rocket stove can use a variety of fuels. We have used our orchard prunings. We also got a load of wood from the local door manufacturer who just gave us a big bundle of these hardwood sticks that we have cut down. You can see those in that bucket on the right-hand side there.
One of the things that I love about the Bear River rocket stove is that it will use a variety of different wooden fuels to be able to fuel the fires in the rockets. It'll burn sticks and twigs and brush and all kinds of different small pieces of wood and debris, so it's more sustainable. In the event of a long-term grid down situation, you can find this kind of fuel, and it is perfect to use in this rocket stove. The Bear River rocket stove was designed to last. These wheels are very sturdy, and it's really easy to move this very heavy stove because of the types of wheels that he has put on this. They also lock so that you won't have any accidental movement of the stove when you don't want it to move. I love the huge oven. This oven is giant. It is bigger than my kitchen oven. It's 2 feet by 2 feet and about 16 inches tall. On Thanksgiving, we cooked our turkey in there as well as a pie at the same time. And you can see we could have easily fit another one in. This can also be used as a smoker if you want to place a tray of wet wood chips in the bottom. This was our beautiful Thanksgiving turkey, and we had used the top of the stove to keep some items warm. It's big enough to fit my 2 Dutch ovens that I bake my bread in. And the loaves turned out beautiful. The heat in that oven is almost perfect. It has a little bit darker there on the left-hand side, but just not significantly. Everything that we've cooked in it has turned out really well. The moisture inside of the oven is controlled very easily by 2 vents that are in the back of the oven. The grill top is huge, 3 feet wide and 2 feet deep. It's very easy to cook a lot of food on that surface. It has a really nice drip tray so that if you're cooking hamburgers or anything that has a lot of grease, you don't have a mess and a problem. The cooktop is amazing. You can see I have 3 Dutch ovens on top there cooking part of our Thanksgiving dinner, along with 2 pans of food. At first glance, you may not know what's going on inside those Dutch ovens on that cooktop, but lift that lid and you can see what a fantastic job that stove is doing of cooking those potatoes.
One of the funnest parts of this stove is the grandkids get to feed the rocket tubes. At first I was a little concerned that maybe they were going to get burned, but they handled it really well. And we actually told them what temperature we wanted on the oven, and they did a pretty good job of matching the fuel they put in and the rate they put it in to keeping that temperature close to where we wanted it.
So not only is this a fantastic emergency preparedness device, but what a great way to cook as a family and build memories and teach these kids things that they won't learn any other way.
Some of the advantages we see of the Bear River rocket stove is the fact that it uses renewable available fuel, and that fuel is used very efficiently. It has a large capacity oven and a large capacity cooking surface.
Which means that I can feed my entire family using this one device. No matter what happens, as long as I have sticks, I can feed my family. Well, and food.
It does burn very clean. As we mentioned, there's a little bit of smoke right at first, but then there's almost zero or no smoke because it does burn that clean. It's very simple to operate and it is incredibly durable. The disadvantages that we see are that it requires effort to keep those rockets fed. It is a fairly continuous process to keep all 3 of those rockets if you're using the oven and the stove. But again, we have the grandkids to do that, and it's only a problem because we're spoiled and we're used to just turning on a stove and allowing it to do its thing without us having to do anything. It is for outside use only, and it does take a little bit of time to reach cooking temperature. We've been using it during a very cold period of time, and so that cold mass does take a little while to heat up, but once you get that hot, it does cook extremely well.
And okay, even my oven inside, I have to preheat it. So this is a disadvantage, but it really is kind of a common thing too, for it to take a while for it to heat up.
Very true. And it is a substantial initial investment.
Okay, so I had called Dan and asked if he would let us borrow one of these for our grid down cooking challenge in November. And I fell in love with it. I think this is such an incredibly valuable tool for an extended grid down situation. And I just didn't want to take it back, but it is a big financial investment. And, we weren't really quite in a position where we wanted to spend that much money on a stove, but Santa came through for me and I get a Bear River rocket stove for Christmas. So Dan will not be getting this stove back ever.
The Bear River rocket stove comes in 3 versions. The Shepherd, which is the really big one, it has a 4-foot grill and a 3-foot oven.
That's huge. That's huge.
And it can feed literally an army, or at least part of your community. The Freedom, which is the one that we did our test run on, and it has, of course, the 3-foot grill and the 2-foot oven. Still, that will do an amazing amount of cooking.
Yeah, because we had, I can't remember, like 25 people for Thanksgiving dinner. It was a lot of people, and we very easily were able to cook our entire Thanksgiving dinner on there and have lots of leftovers. The Freedom is the perfect size for our huge family.
Then there's the little guy, which is just the smaller one. And it has only a grill top. It does not have an oven.
And for me, if I'm using this for emergency preparedness, I personally really want to have an oven. But you might not need one. But for me, man, the Freedom, I am so excited that has been added to my emergency preparedness cooking arsenal.
If you want to purchase a Bear River rocket stove, or if you just want to get more information, you can call Dan at 435-730-5160. Or you can go to bearriverrocketstoves.weebly.com.
And if you do call Dan, tell him hi for us and that the Provident Prepper sent you.
To see our complete review of the Bear River rocket stove, Google the Provident Prepper Bear River rocket stove review. Check out the Fuel Ration Cooking Challenge, where we use just a small rocket stove to cook a meal. Check out the Grid Down Cooking Challenge,
which is where I fell in love with the Bear River rocket stove.
This is the challenge where we took the entire month of November, including our Thanksgiving dinner, to cook with no electricity at all. As you can see, the Bear River rocket stove is a great tool for feeding a lot of people, especially in an emergency situation, and particularly in a long-term grid down situation. And now for the question of the day. How are you going to feed your family in a long-term grid down event? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.